Good evening and welcome to Daily Red Devil for all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. I hope everyone is doing well on this Tuesday evening. We're back with another massive show to bring you guys this evening. But before we jump into that, please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel if you're new. We just hit 21,000 subscribers. So massive shouts to everybody who has been here from the beginning. We only started the channel about 5 or 6 months ago. So to have hit 21,000 subs in our first 6 months is honestly beyond my wildest dreams. Honestly, I didn't even expect us to have half of that many subs in this amount of time. So big ups to every single one of you. I love doing these shows and I love this community we've built. So massive shouts to all of you. If you are new, please do subscribe. Let's keep the train going. Let's keep it growing. We have got lots and lots to get into on this evening's show. We're going to be talking about Sir Jim Ratcliffe assembling the dream team at Manchester United. And honestly, I don't want to get too ahead of myself here. Obviously, I'll open up the comment section for people to get their thoughts in. But from what I've heard today, I'm feeling really, really positive about the future. I am. We'll talk about that in a minute. I know people are going to say, oh, it's still the Glazers, this, that, and the other. But we are where we are. Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos are coming in with 25%. Whether you like that or not, that's what's happening. Yes, we want the Glazers out. Yes, maybe, in the next 3 to 5 years, they will be gone fully. But in the short term, I'm very excited about what Sir Jim Ratcliffe is looking set to do, which I will be talking about at length on this show. We'll also be talking a bit about exits in January. Anthony Martial apparently looking set to leave the club. We'll be talking about that. Lots of other stuff to get into as well. As always, I invite you to get in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts on everything we discuss on today's show. And there's a special question that I want to ask you guys today. And if anything, it's actually a favour. Now, I want you to let me know in the comment section what kind of content you would like to see from the channel in the new year. Now, obviously, at the moment, we do 2 shows a day. We do one in the morning, one in the evening, and we focus on anything to do with Manchester United news related. Obviously, we talk about games, we talk about transfers, we talk about the general feeling around the club. But I wanted to get a bit of an opinion from this community, from you guys, because obviously you are the ones that have helped us get to this 21,000 subscribers. What would you like to see in the new year? Would you like to see other people hosting shows on the channel? Would you like to see shows where fans can call in and have their say? Would you like to see, ones where there's multiple people on the show? Like, let me know what you guys would like from the channel in the new year, because ultimately this is your channel as much as it is mine. So let me know in the comment section what you want from the channel in the new year, and I will try my best to bring things, to bring your suggestions in. So big ups to all of you. Right, let's get on to the show though. So the headline coming out this afternoon is that apparently Newcastle sporting director Dan Ashworth is now increasingly likely to replace John Murtough as Manchester United's director of football once Jim Ratcliffe arrives. And you know what? I am very, very happy about this. I think he would be a quality addition to the Manchester United team. Obviously, he was the director of football at Brighton. He's one of the people who I think is mainly responsible for Brighton's success where they are now. People say, oh, De Zerbi this, De Zerbi that. Brighton were good before De Zerbi came in. And the reason they were so good was because of the team that was behind the manager. And obviously Dan Ashworth was a very, very important part of that team. Now, people might be saying, oh, what's happened to Paul Mitchell? We'll talk about him in a minute. But from what I'm hearing this afternoon, it's not going to be just Dan Ashworth. Apparently, Paul Mitchell would be coming in as well. So I will talk about that in a second. But let me know in the comment section, guys. What do you think about Dan Ashworth? Do you think he is good enough to be at Manchester United? And just remember this, right? He's gone to Newcastle just after the Saudi money came in, and he has done an incredible job. Okay? He spent 200 million since he's... over the last kind of 2 to 3 years, he spent around 200 million, right? At Newcastle alone, he brought in players like Isaac, he brought in Botman, he brought in Pope, Anthony Gordon, Livramento. Who else did he bring in? And then if you go to Brighton, he brought in people like Mitoma, unbelievable player, Caicedo, Trossard, Cucurella, Lamptey. Now, people will say, oh, none of them are world class, blah, blah, blah. I get it. But I think at the moment, right, we need to be buying more players like this, more exciting young players. Isaac, unbelievable player. Mitoma, unbelievable player. Caicedo, unbelievable player. Even Trossard, right? He's only 25, 26, and I think he went to Brighton when he was in his early 20s. I can't speak more highly about this guy. When you think that Manchester United spent over 200 million on Sancho, Antony and Højlund, and Dan Ashworth in the space of 2 or 3 years spent around 200 million on about 10 players. He got Isaac, Mitoma, Caicedo, Trossard, Botman, Pope, Anthony Gordon, Livramento, Cucurella and Lamptey, all for less money that we spent on Sancho, Antony and Højlund. Just let that sink in for a second. He bought over 10 players for less than what we spent on Sancho, Antony and Højlund. And being completely honest, I would take Mitoma or Trossard or Anthony Gordon over Sancho. I would take Mitoma, Trossard or Anthony Gordon over Antony. And I would probably, I would take Isaac over Højlund, to be honest with you. I think he's a better player. So when you look at it like that, right, this guy clearly knows what he's doing. He's got Premier League experience. And I think he's the right person for the job. I really, really do. Now, off the back of this is the team that Jim Ratcliffe is apparently assembling. And brace yourselves for this because it looks really, really good to me. So the story coming out this afternoon is that apparently the head of performance will be Sir Dave Brailsford. Okay, he's obviously one of the other people at Ineos. Very, very good in cycling, and I think for that specific job, I think he'd be great. So his job would be the head of performance. No problem with that. The director of football will be Dan Ashworth. Very happy about that. We'll be taking Newcastle's director of football from them. Just let that sink in, right? Newcastle have been great since the Saudis came in, but that's because they've spent money well, and they've spent money well because of Dan Ashworth. So that's a massive coup for Manchester United. Then from what I'm hearing, the head of recruitment would be Paul Mitchell. So you're not only getting Dan Ashworth, but you're also getting Paul Mitchell. Unbelievable. And then the CEO would be Jean-Claude Blanc with John Murtough having some other job around the club. We're not exactly sure what that will be at this stage, but from what I'm hearing today, John Murtough would be staying at Manchester United in some capacity, but just not in one of those top roles. So maybe he'll be head of youth academy. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Obviously with Erik ten Hag being the manager. And when you read that through, right, just to summarise, head of performance, Sir Dave Brailsford, director of football, Dan Ashworth, head of recruitment, Paul Mitchell, CEO, Jean-Claude Blanc, and manager, Erik ten Hag. I honestly couldn't ask for more. I couldn't. Now, I know that 99% of people who watch this channel wanted Qatar. I don't think Qatar could have done anything better than that. Maybe they would have put together the same team. Maybe. Okay? Obviously, there's a possibility they would have done exactly the same thing. So I'm not going to sit here and say only Ineos could have achieved this, because that would be a bit naive. But I think that these are very sensible recruitments. I do. There's no one who's like an ex-Manchester United player involved, which I like. It's all the best people in the best positions. Director of football, I think, is one of the best there. Head of recruitment, Paul Mitchell. He could easily be the director of football. He's more than qualified to be a director of football, let alone just the head of recruitment. And then CEO being Jean-Claude Blanc. Again, I'm very, very happy with that. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Are you happy with this team? Is there somebody that you maybe wanted instead? Is there somebody that you think we've missed out on? Maybe you wanted Ralph Rangnick. Maybe you think I'm getting a bit too excited and you think that even with the Glazers still being here, it's not going to be good enough. Yeah, let me know what you think. Let's have a read of a couple of the comments. Stephen says he's good enough, but would he even come to United? Mate, all of the stories this afternoon are saying that he's going to come to Manchester United. We're talking 5 or 6 different journalists all reporting the same thing, all saying that he's going to come. All saying that Newcastle are bracing themselves for Manchester United to come and take him from Newcastle. And when I say like all of the journalists, I mean all of the journalists. Literally over probably somewhere between 5 and 10 different journalists have come out with the same story today, that Dan Ashworth will join Manchester United as sporting director and Paul Mitchell will be the head of recruitment with Jean-Claude Blanc coming in as the CEO. That's what's being reported today. Obviously until Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos get the 25%, this might not happen. Richie says he dropped a clanger with the Italian guy. You mean Tonali, forgot his name, should have been aware of the charges. The thing is, mate, if, with the Tonali situation, right, if there was any sniff of this happening before, Newcastle would be able to sue AC Milan because, if it was public knowledge and they'd hidden it, then ultimately they would have been able to sue them, wouldn't they? Because they'd be lying. So I don't think we can blame Dan Ashworth for the Tonali situation. From my understanding of that, he kept it secret. Nobody knew what was going on with him. So I'm not going to pin that on Dan Ashworth, and I think it's a little bit cruel to paint one person's potential mistake, which I still don't think is his mistake, on one player when he's clearly done a good job before that. And who else would it be? Like, you're getting 2 for the price of 1 there. You're getting a director of football in Dan Ashworth, but you're also getting Paul Mitchell as a head of recruitment. Like that's two people who are equally qualified to do one job coming in. That's really good, and I'm happy. And I think the most important thing here is that it probably means that we won't see any more signings where it's like that's a blatant Erik ten Hag signing. It will be these people come in, they sit down, they have long meetings, and they decide what the philosophy will be for Manchester United. And they'll bring in people to match that philosophy. So if a manager starts not performing, they'll already know who the next manager is because they'll be basing that on the style of play that they've made. That's what they did at Brighton. The Brighton, I think it's the CEO. He's done a really good interview on it's called Elite Analysis. It's a YouTube channel, really, really good, where they interview lots of different sports people. Or Elite Performance, I think it's called. And he was saying they already know who the next 3 Brighton managers are. He knows that if De Zerbi leaves, they know who the next manager is. And if whoever that leaves is, they know who the next manager that after that is. They already know what players they're going to sign for the next 3 to 5 transfer windows. Like, let that sink in for a minute. We don't know what's going to happen in the transfer window alone. Like, every single transfer window, we sign players that have just come completely out of the blue. There'll be one in this transfer window. You wait for it. We'll sign somebody and everyone will be like, what the hell? It'll be someone we haven't been linked to. It could be a big name player. I can't think of somebody off the top of my head, but, a Timo Werner, somebody like that, somebody that everyone will be like scratching their head saying, why the hell have we got this guy? Teams like Newton did not do that. Teams like Brighton. Stefan says, you can put the best people in place, but they're useless without funding. Only if they get money to spend, this will work. Well, you say that, but Brighton don't have an unlimited budget. They were scouting people. They were finding people from lower leagues. They were getting people from, obviously, South America and stuff. So, I don't know. I think it's a little bit easy to say, without money. We have got money. We spent 400 million in the space of 2 windows. We clearly do have money, It's not like we're in the Conference League and, it's not like we're in the Conference League and we're having to buy players for £100,000. That's simply not the case. Fred says, call me a skeptic, but until they arrive, I can't get too excited. Mate, of course. For all we know, it might get announced tomorrow that Jim Ratcliffe's going to buy 25% and the Glazers are never going to sell. And that Erik ten Hag's going to get sacked and Graham Potter's going to be the manager. Like, within the space of 24 hours, things can change so quickly with Manchester United. But how I feel at the moment is that these stories are hotting up. We're hearing that Jim Ratcliffe will be announced before Christmas. Whether that will happen or not, I don't know. But the fact that this story coming out today is ultimately saying that Dan Ashworth will join Manchester United and that Newcastle are already looking for a replacement. And that's from like literally 10 different journalists in the UK today. I think that they've obviously been briefed somewhere along the line that Manchester United have approached Dan Ashworth because they wouldn't just put out this story for no reason. And I think that they're probably, softening it before they then announce Jim Ratcliffe as the new 25% owner. Let's see what else people are saying. Jason says, imagine in 6 days we get a Christmas present that is Qatar. Mate, that would completely explode the internet, wouldn't it? The internet would explode if that happened, if it was, Qatar did come in. I don't think so, mate. I don't think so now. I think maybe in a few years they might come back. But if I'm being completely honest, yeah, I think it's unlikely. Some more breaking news coming out in a couple of minutes ago as well, actually. According to Bild, which is obviously a very reputable German outlet, Sport Bild, they are reporting that apparently Reguilón is going to join Dortmund in January. Now, obviously, I know Reguilón is not a Manchester United player. He's Tottenham's player on loan. He apparently can leave in the January window. He has a clause that allows him to leave if he wants to leave. And Sport Bild are reporting that Dortmund are dealing intensively with Sergio Reguilón. The player is currently on loan at Manchester United, but has a clause in his contract that allows him to end the loan himself. So it looks like Reguilón will be going. I'll be honest with you, I'm not really too bothered. I think Reguilón's very average. I think Luke Shaw's levels above him. I think Malacia is probably on par with him, maybe a little bit worse, but I would much rather see Malacia come back and get game time. Obviously, he'll be back from injury in January. So for me, I would definitely let Reguilon go. It's wages we can save. If that then means we can go and get someone else on loan until the summer, I would go and do that. You know, if we could use whatever money we were spending on Reguilon's wages on another player, on a striker, maybe on a centre back, whatever it might be, I would go and do that. Romano says, what happened to Blanc? So just to be very, very clear, right? The story that's come out today is that Jean-Claude Blanc will be the CEO. Dan Ashworth will be the director of football. Paul Mitchell will be the head of recruitment. So Dave Brailsford will be head of performance, and Eric Ten Hag will be the manager. So all of the people that everybody wants will be coming, apparently. So we'll have to wait and see. Lumen says, Kieran, I will always say Glazers have been let down by people running the club. They aren't that bad as owners as we are portraying them. Mate, I'm not really sure what to say to that, to be honest. Obviously, you're entitled to your opinion. But let me just get some stats up for you quickly. How much money have the Glazers spent since they've taken over Manchester United 18 years ago? 0. They haven't spent a penny of their own money. Saying Manchester United have spent 400 million, okay? Because that's what rival fans say. They go, oh, why'd you slag off your owners? They spent 400 million. They spent 400 million of our own money that was generated from you guys supporting the club, buying the merchandise, going to the games, you know, buying Sky Sports and BT Sports to watch the football. That's from our doing. That's not because of them. They haven't put a penny of their own money in. And then any additional money has been debt, which has been leveraged against the club. So, for example, Casemiro was bought on the company credit card. Just let that sink in for a minute, right? You know, let's normalize this for everyday life, right? Somebody might be like, oh, I want to go and get a new phone, but I don't have the money. Oh, I'll get out a credit card. Manchester United are buying £80 million players on a credit card. That's not normal. That's not something that big clubs should be doing. They should be able to rely on their own income. And instead of putting in their own money and saying, right, we need to put in £50 million of our own money this season to help bolster the squad, they'll just go and borrow the money against the club. And every month we pay debt. We pay the debt off and we pay interest on it. So when you think of it like that, it's ridiculous. And since 2005, right, this should silence the argument. Since 2005, the Glazers have taken out more than £1.1 billion from Manchester United. 1.1 billion. They haven't put in a penny of their own money. They take dividends. The list goes on and on and on and on. So, I think it's ridiculous. What else have we got? Josh says, sorry, I just can't get excited anymore. Too many past disappointments and false dawns. Yeah, I hear you, mate. I hear you. I get it. Until we see this new dream team in front of us, it's very hard to get excited about it. But from the stories that have come out today and from who they've come from, I believe a lot of these journalists. So I would be absolutely shocked if this doesn't happen now, but we'll have to wait and see. Let's talk a little bit about Anthony Martial. The headline this afternoon is that apparently Fenerbahce are in talks with Anthony Martial about a potential transfer. It says the Turkish club want to sign Martial or Wout Weghorst in January. I mean, would Fenerbahce be able to afford his wages? I highly doubt that. Let's have a look. I mean, the only way is if Manchester United agreed to, terminate his contract. I mean, their highest earning player at the moment is Fred. Obviously, he was at United and he's on €100,000 a week. Whereas if you compare that with, Martial, he's on £250,000 a week. So what's that? 270, 280,000 pounds, euros a week. So their highest earning player is earning a third of what he's currently earning at United. I don't really buy it personally. I don't really buy it. I mean, the only way that I could see that happening is if potentially it was a loan. I would say a loan is pointless. His contract's up in the summer. Either you sell him now and maybe someone in Saudi and you try and get a bit of money for him, or you just keep him till the summer and let him go. That's what I would do. Lumen says, Kieran, are the Glazers worse than Daniel Levy? I'll be honest with you, right? I don't really know that much about that. Let me Google this, right? How much money has Daniel Levy? I'll say this now. I would rather have Daniel Levy than the Glazers, 100%. 100%. 1,000%. Daniel Levy is a shrewd businessman. I don't believe that the Glazers are. I really, really don't. I mean, like, the only bad things I can see about Daniel Levy is that he pays himself a salary of £3 million a year. But when you think that the Glazers were taking in their, in their peak somewhere between 30 and 50 million in dividends, plus they were, had managerial fees, management fees and stuff, which is just ridiculous. So yeah, I think Daniel Levy is a better owner than the Glazers, but I still think they're both bad owners. So it's a matter of who's worse. It's a difficult one to listen to. Stefan says, Stephen or Stefan, I joined a bit late, but did you listen to the podcast where Jose Mourinho was saying he wanted to sell players, but the club said no? Yeah, I did. Was that the one with John Obi Mikel? Yeah. Some of the stuff that Mourinho said was crazy, and it doesn't surprise me. We know that the Glazers had their favourites. We know that they had players that they didn't want to sell. We know that they had players that were unsellable as well. And I think that that's still the case now at the moment. I think, there's certain players in that Manchester United team who we know are unsellable. Not because they're good, but for whatever reason, the Glazers value them, maybe from a commercial side, and they're not willing to get rid of them. So I think that kind of continues on. Daniel says the Glazers are worse. It's simple. Yeah, I would agree, mate, 100%. I just tried to play devil's advocate there. Obviously, I don't support Tottenham, so I don't know the level, of how bad Daniel Levy has been. But from where I'm sat, he's just built them a new stadium. He's getting £100 million for a 30-year-old Harry Kane. I feel like Daniel Levy knows what he's doing, to be honest. I feel like he's a good businessman, whereas I feel like the Glazers are clueless. At least Daniel Levy goes to the games. At least he's actually like a present person around. And as Benjamin says, Daniel Levy doesn't actually own the club. Yeah, it's Joe Lewis, isn't it? He's got loads of... what is it? Is it something to do with taxes or something? I don't know. Something's going on with him, isn't there? Yeah, and he's been indicted over alleged insider trading. So is Daniel Levy the CEO? What's his actual role? He's the chairman. So yeah, he's kind of running the day-to-day operations, but there's an American guy who's actually the owner. Yeah, that's correct. Right, let's read out a couple of your comments and questions quickly. If you've got any questions you want to ask. Daniel says he would like to see interviews or a two-person discussion, or a call-in show once a month. Yeah, we could look into doing that. Like, to this point, right, it's absolutely mad. This channel has literally just been me for 6 months. I do the thumbnails, I do all the videos, I do all the research. Like, you've only ever seen me on this channel. And that's why I asked. I wanted to see what you guys, had to say and whether there was specific things you wanted us to do on this channel going forward, because obviously I want to make sure that you guys are engaged with it. I want to make sure that you guys still enjoy it. So yeah, whatever you guys would like to see on the channel, let me know. Fred says, thank you so much for the support as well, Fred. So Fred's just put in a super chat saying, I've tried to gift members, but I'll keep supporting this great channel. Congrats on reaching 21k. Thank you so much, Fred. Honestly, mate, I really, really appreciate all of your support. I appreciate you guys just coming and speaking with me every single day, because it's been a difficult kind of 6 or 7 months, hasn't it, being a Manchester United channel, fan channel, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, it's been very, very difficult. Really, really difficult. But yeah, we're all in it together, and I think that this is definitely a very, very good escapism to be together, and just to get shit off our mind, because it does get quite, we've been through a lot in a very short space of time. I remember when I started this channel, it looked like the Glazers were going. It looked like Qatar were coming in. We've had the Sancho situation. We've had, the disappointment of Qatar not getting the club. We've had so much in the last 6 months. It's crazy. It is. It feels like a reality TV program. And there has been points where, you feel like maybe this is all too much. Lumen says, Kieran, I'd love to see you go on other channels as a panel. Yeah, I mean, I'm always open to doing things with other people. I haven't really... I haven't really reached out to other people, to be honest, at all. I've kind of just done it on my own, and I just enjoy speaking to you guys. So yeah, big ups to all of you. What else have we got? Bartholomew says, I get it that you want to refresh and grow, etc., but I'm happy as it is. It's refreshing amongst its peers most of the time. Cool. All right, well, that's great. I just wanted to, at this point, we're at the end of the year. We've just hit 21,000 subscribers, which is incredible. As I said, was beyond anything I'd ever kind of dreamed of, really, to be honest. I only started this just as a bit of fun, just something to do together. Yeah. Dennis says, I'd like to see other presenters. Again, that's really, really good. And Daniel says, you've been doing good, mate. Again, big ups to all of you. I'll tell you what I might do. Let me know if you guys want to see this, because there's a video I recorded, I think maybe 2 or 3 years ago. As I said, I only started this channel 6 months ago, right? I recorded a video 2 or 3 years ago, and you would not be able to, you wouldn't believe it's the same person. I was so shy, so nervous. I was stuttering. I'm pretty sure I wrote the whole show out on Word, a 10-minute long show, and I read it word for word. Literally word for word. I don't even move my head. I just read it off a screen. And I was wondering if you guys wanted to see that, because I think it's, I'm probably going off on a bit of a random one here, but obviously we are having a bit of a, what's the word? We're analysing, it's the end of the year, and this is the type of year when you start to think about these kind of things. And yeah, honestly, it took me 2 or 3 years to get the confidence to actually start the channel, but I did try and start it years ago. I recorded videos, I didn't upload them, but I've still got them. I kind of want to upload it. Yeah, I kind of want to upload it, but I don't really. I feel like I'd upload it and people wouldn't get it. So yeah. Irvin says, Kieran, who have we got next in the Champions League? Well, there you go. We can all have a laugh on here, can't we? We can. But yeah, big ups to every single one of you. I really do appreciate you all. I will be back tomorrow morning. Cool Gamer Boy says, have you had any injury updates on Martinez and Casemiro? Both of them will be back in January, apparently. So really, really happy about that. And I'm happy to see... I'm happy to see these players come back from injury. I'm happy to start seeing Manchester United's proper team going out there. Varane, Martinez, Casemiro, Luke Shaw at left back. Like, I'm really, really happy about that. CT80 says, I can't believe Todibo with the links to Tottenham. You'd think that Jim would block it. Yeah, mate, it is a bit disappointing with that, but it is what it is. But I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. Big ups to all of you. Thank you so much for watching. Again, after the show finishes, once the video is published, get in the comment section and let me know what you want to see from the channel in 2024. Maybe you're happy with how it is. Maybe you don't want it to be changed at all. I would still do the shows at the same times and it would be the same formula, but maybe you want to see a different show once a month, or maybe you want to see, like a show where, people in the community can come in and have their say. Like, I want to try and just keep it how we're doing it, because I feel like we have got our own identity here. So I don't want to just make it like really reactionary. Like, this is always just going to be honest. It's going to be my opinion. It's going to be your opinion. Like, I'm never going to play up to the camera. I'm not going to, scream, get the manager out just to try and get some clicks or whatever it might be. Like, I'm not going to do that. So yeah, I'm not going to change who I am, but I'm happy to kind of add more content if that's what you want. Maybe you don't want, but just let me know. I'll be back tomorrow morning as usual. Be about 8:30, around that sort of time. Have a lovely evening, everybody. If you're going to watch, obviously there's loads of football on tonight. United obviously out of the League Cup, but I probably will be watching. Will I be watching something tonight? Maybe Chelsea Newcastle, 8 o'clock in about an hour's time. Have a lovely evening, everybody. I'll speak to you tomorrow. Don't forget to smash a like before you go and subscribe if you're new. Have a nice evening.